Right then guys and girlies, Tiny Time Logan back with another video for you. Sadly today you're not going to get a radio DJ style introduction, but I am still quite chirpy, quite loving everything. But anyway, today predominantly what we're going to be doing is planning and getting ready for the water cooling. Now I've done a water cooling guide in the past, so if you want to go to the channel and search for that, just search for beginners water cooling guide. There's two parts, go take a look. But today we've got to get the water cooling into the case. Now first things first, what I'm going to do is put the 360 rad in the roof. And one of the things with the half is it doesn't look like it supports a 360 rad. One fan, but if you have a look, there's two lots of holes this side, and there's a little trick. Now I have to look at this so I can actually see that you can see what I'm doing. With the 932, you take the rubber bit out of the top, and you'll see that there's some screws that you can remove in the top of the case. They're here anyway. Now I'm just going to grab my screwdriver. Now I'll do this on camera with you, or at least I hope I'm doing it on camera. Yeah, I am. Just going to whiz the screws out. You can put a fill port in the top here as well, by the way, but we're going to talk about that kind of thing in the review. I'm just doing the build for now. Right, and basically, I need to get the screw doesn't want to come out. Let me get my magic magnetic. Come on, please play. There we go. I move these screws out of the way. Basically all you have to do is, once you've undone the screws, is pull the front panel back, and then you can lift it up and move it out of the way. So let me zoom out. Oh, they are right. Well, anyway, we can move that out of the way. Now if you have a look, now you can see where the extra fan goes. So 1 fan, 2 fan, 3 fan, 360mm rad in the roof, lovely jubbly. One thing we do need to do though is take the 200mm fan out, because that's pointless for our needs. We don't want that. We want 120mm fans. Now, why don't we want the 200mm fan? Well, if you think about it, only a small portion of that 200mm fan is actually going to be touching the radiator. And, well, basically guys, do you know what I mean? A big portion of the fan is going to be off of the radiator, so it's not really going to be forcing or sucking any air through the rad. Air will take the easy way, which will be not through the rad. So we want 120mm fans. If you ever see anyone using a radiator other than a 200mm radiator, but if you ever see anyone with a 120mm fan radiator with a 200mm fan on it, give them a slap, because it's completely and utterly pointless. Now what I'm going to do, just quickly, is I'm not going to do it all on camera with you today, but I'm going to remove the fan in the roof, which I'm just going to do one quick. I actually like these screws. I wish I could find out where to buy them. It's a normal fan screw. I'm trying to do this on camera for you, but it's actually an Allen key. So it's a normal self-tapping screw, but Allen key. Anyone knows where to buy these from, let me know, because these are brilliant. I'd use these in all my cases if I could. Well, where I'd need self-tappers anyway. Now, I'm going to go and answer the door, because I think that's Mr. Strawberry's just arrived. In fact, no, let's leave him on camera. Say hello, Mr. Strawberry.
Hello.
It was Mr. Strawberry. Lovely update while on camera. Anyway, I'm going to finish getting the rest of these screws out, and then I'm going to show you what the radiator looks like in the roof. Say hello again, Mr. Strawberry.
Hello.
Shout a bit.
Hello.
There you go. Right then guys and girlies, task. We know the radiator is going to be going in the roof. We know we've got plenty of room at the top as well for the rad and the fans. What we need to do is work out which way we want the barbs. So do we want the barbs at that end? Do we want the barbs at this end? So we need to work that bit out. We also need to work out where we're going to place the reservoir, and also where we're going to place the pump. I've put the graphics card in here for the time being because it is quite a long graphics card. We've only got probably about 20-25mm between the end of the graphics card and the hard drive cage. And we need to try and think in our heads, kind of get the old imaginative juices, or imaginative, there's a good word for you. Get the old creative juices flowing and work out where we're going to place everything. Reservoir. Originally, I was thinking about putting the reservoir down on the hard drive cage just because it would have been easy to have put it down there. But because of the length of the graphics card, we'd have to have near enough have the res on the floor. It just won't look right. Other options would be to have it inside the hard drive cage because there are some holes up there already. And technically, if you're going to do a dual loop, as in 2 reservoirs, I'd probably put one on either side just to have them out of the way, and then have some lights down this side or something so it lit through. Because obviously I never use optical bays anyway, there's not going to be any CD drives or anything going in, because at the end of the day we're cool kids and we know that optical drives are lame. Yes, that does mean if you've got an optical drive in your rig, you are lame. They're redundant now. Get rid of it. Anyways, right, so tipping that down, pretty much our only option is to drop the res in here. Now, yes, it is technically just going to be going over the cable routing hole here, but if you have a look on the side of the res, you can see that there's a little bit of room around the side, and obviously it's curved as well, so you will still be able to get a cable out. So putting it up here is not really going to be that limiting. We will need to block one of the reservoir ports off, and I'll probably end up using a 90-degree connection on the side to come down towards the pump. So what I'm thinking is putting the reservoir there, having the barbs for the radiator up this end, but this is where it will get confusing. Generally, in an ideal world, what you want to do is go res, pump, radiator. But because of the layout of this case, if we went res, pump, and then up to the radiator, that would mean I'd have to have a return going from the pump all the way up the case into the radiator. Now, when I build my rigs, I actually go for tidiness over anything else, because I might get a couple of degrees cooler at best. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to go radiator into the top of the res, down into the pump, up into the graphics card, into the CPU, and then back out and into the radiator again, and then obviously the loop will then continue round. As for people saying, oh, you've got to have graphics card, then another radiator, then back into the CPU, that is all bullshit. Basically, in a sealed loop, it doesn't really matter within a degree or two about the loop order at all. For me, if you want to make yourself spaghetti junction for a case of a couple of degrees, awesome. I will always build a tidy, good looking loop and sacrifice a couple of degrees over something that looks like Luigi has puked his spaghetti dinner up inside his case. No way will I ever build a rig like that. So if you want to build a water cooling loop the TTL way, build yourself a tidy loop. You want nice, as short as possible, nice tidy loops, not too much hose visible. Basically make it look as tidy and as clean as possible. That's my way of doing it. If you want to go the really anal, I must save myself 0.25 degrees and end up using loads more hose, never be able to look at, get in your rig and do anything, and definitely not ever show anyone that knows what they're looking at, then that's completely up to you. But right, what we're going to do, like I said, rad in the top, I've now decided that I'm going to have the fans underneath for a little bit of red glow inside the case. Then we're going to have radiator, reservoir. I am going to have to drill one hole into the case for the res, but never mind, it's only one hole. So we'll do that, pump in the bottom, then the pump will be the start of the loop, which we're then going to go straight up to the graphics card. I'm going to go and have a dig in the garage because I'm pretty sure I've got a load of black bits power fittings that I'm going to chuck in there, just because I've not got any 90-degree fittings and there's no other way I can really make this thing tidy. So if I use black fittings, I might as well use black barbs, or maybe I should use some of my red ones. Anyway, and yeah, and we're going to get cracking on with this, and yeah, in a second I'm going to get the radiator in there and we can get that all up, bolted in and looking pretty, and then I'll start doing the hoses and stuff. But this may end up being a long video, guys, but today is water cooling day. Right then, guys, I've got all the fans now mounted to the radiator. Also now using, if I turn the camera around so I can actually see what I'm showing now, also now using black bits power barbs, and we use black bits power fittings as well. One thing I will say is when you put your fans on, make sure you think about which side you want your cables to go on. Now I've got them this side because obviously when I turn it round and fit it into the case, it means that the wires are going to be at the back of the case. Obviously you don't want them on the outside where you can see them, so just, it's only a small thing, but it'll save you a job later on. Think about what side that you want them. Also, just to give you a quick look at these fans, I actually really like them that are on there. The reason why I've gone for them on the inside is then the little bit of red glow that then comes down inside the case will put a little bit of light onto the components. And again, it's just a small bit of light, because obviously we want to keep this quite dark and stealthy. But one thing that you do need to bear in mind is Shadow H2O. Not been on shadows without light, so I've gone for kind of red, real moody, that kind of idea. But anyway, we're going to stick the radiator in the roof now, and then we'll need to drill a hole for the reservoir. We can start getting that in there, and then pretty much it's starting to think about how I'm going to hose it, start getting fittings on and stuff like that. But for another small update, let's crack on with the next bit. Right then, guys and girlies, we've got the radiator in. Obviously you can't see very well, but we've got the black and red bladed fans up there, and then the Phobya rad at the top. Now, something I do need to say is Phobya sends you in the 12 screws that you need to fit the fans, but if you want to fit the radiator in the roof as I have done there, they only then send you 4 of the smaller screws, not the 12 that you'd need. And also these screws are very, very narrow, so they actually went straight through the holes in the case. They would have pulled straight through. Luckily I had some M3 Allen heads and some washers in the garage that I still got from the Time to Live custom days, because I kept all of this kind of stuff actually in stock, so I always had it. So if you're planning on doing this with this Phobya radiator, so having your fans on the inside blowing out and then mounting your radiator in the roof, what you will need is some M3 5mm long, and then whatever you want. So it's an M3 thread, 5mm long thread. That's safe enough for the radiator. And then all you need to do is decide on whether you're going to have a positive, like a hex screw top, or whether you're going to go for Allen head top, whatever you want basically. But essentially it's the M3 thread and a 5mm length is what you'll need. But as you can see, I've got the radiator now mounted, despite that setback, I would say. So I'm going to refit the top and screw that back into place. And for those of you wondering how that fan then exhausts, well, there is vents for it there, and obviously the fan's partially exposed anyway, so that's there. And next job is for me to get the reservoir mounted, so I need to go back out to the garage because I've got to bring my drill in. One thing I did want to point out, guys, is they're the screws that you need to remove to take the top off. But if you have a look here and here, you can still see through to the radiator screws. So you don't actually need to remove this top panel. but I just thought I would do it just to show you the fan grills and everything underneath. And I've got to admit, I'd rather take this off, get down there, have a proper look, make sure everything's lined up, and it's much easier to take the top off than trying to get your screws down inside there. And then basically, obviously, they could go around all over, you know, move all out of the way. It'd be much easier just to take the top off. The fact that it's only 3 screws, but I just wanted to point out you don't actually necessarily need to, but obviously I would advise you to. Right then, guys, back with a little update for you. If you can hear what sounds like a field of animals chomping on a load of grass behind you, Mr. Strawberry is trying to eat a baguette, and well, let's just say David Attenborough has seen animals that eat better and quieter. Isn't that right, Straubs? Right, today, look, I've got the reservoir in. I've popped it up there, and if I pop you off the tripod, you'll see that we've really not got a lot of room. There we go, if I stop moving, between the top of the graphics card and the res. I'm going to blank this hole off, and then we've got not a lot of room between the top of the radiator and the barb there. But let me put you back on, because this is what I've sort of come to explain. Now we've got the rig in there, I know I'm going to be having the pump in the bottom. So we've got radiator barbs up this end, we've got everything kind of roughly in the right places here, and essentially what I'm doing is working out what connectors I need and what's going to go where. Now where we're going to be using bits power fittings, mainly because I think they're the dog's hoo-has, but we've got bits power 45s and 90s, which I just gone and got from my stock. Listen carefully. Thank you. So essentially what we've got to do is work out what 45s and 90s we need to scatter around. So what I was going to do was use... Straubs is still laughing because I farted. I'm going to use a 45, I'm going to use a 90 degree fitting on the bottom of the reservoir so it comes down for a better line to the pump. I'm going to use a full 90 degree fitting on the top of the reservoir so I can get a better line up to the radiator. And then what I'm going to do is use two 45 on the top of the graphics card and a 45 on the inlet of the CPU block. Probably going to use a 45 on the outlet of the CPU block as well, just to give me a better line to go off. And then the only other one that I've been trying to decide on is whether to use a 45 or a 90 on the bottom of the graphics card. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a 90, and then I'm going to send the hose towards the motherboard before it's due to come down to the top of the pump. And it will just allow me, where it's going to be quite a big loop, it will just allow me to get enough turn in it to be able to send it across the bottom of the graphics card before it comes down into the pump, and it should be a little tidier. With the pump itself, the inlet is at the bottom, at the top rather, I'm almost positive, and the outlet's there, but I do need to check that because I really can't remember. I can't remember which way it's meant to go. I'm pretty sure that's in and that's out, but I will double check it. But either way, I'm probably going to end up using another fitting on this. I'm more than likely going to use a 90 on the pump as well, just so that it gives me a better turn. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but either way I'm going to need a 90 on that, no matter whether it's coming from the res or to the graphics card. So I'll probably use that. A lot of people say about 90s are really restrictive, and yeah, okay, it is a 90 degree, but it's just better than having lots of ugly hose. So we're going to be needing a fair few fittings. Obviously these Sexima stick fittings aren't super cheap, but we're going to be using a fair few of them anyway. So we're going to be using 190, 290, 390s, 490s, and then 1, 2, 3 45s in total. So what I'm going to do now, there's no point me doing it with you on camera because we'll be here forever, is I'm now going to put all the fittings on, get all the blanks in the right places, put all the barbs and everything on ready. I'll show you it quickly before I hose up, but I'm going to get on with all the barbs and the fittings now. Right then, guys and girlies, all the fittings are on. Although, hang on, let me move the light up a bit. You wouldn't believe how close I've got the light at the moment either, so you can see it. Anyway, there we go. And just to let you know, the top is the outlet, the bottom is the inlet. I looked it up, it was a good job I did. I thought it was the other way around, but this is the inlet, the one with the circle round it, and the top is the outlet. But anyway, right, so we've got that done. We've got the fittings ready on the graphics card. See if my camera will focus. There we go. Same again on there. But yeah, we've got the fittings on the graphics card ready. 245s on the CPU block ready. On the reservoir, I just went straight out the bottom rather than using a fitting on that because it's easier. 90 on the top, and then obviously the ones on the radiator ready. Just sort of like bulbs really, and we'll have to hose those up. Now, talking of hose, that is my next job, and I'm going to crack on with that now. And that will be the final thing that you'll see in this video, is this all hosed up. And I will do a separate video for leak checking and stuff. Or will I? I don't know. We'll see. It's quite early in the day. Maybe I'll do some more. I don't know. We'll see. If there's loads left on the video, then I'm going to do the leak checking and everything today. If there's not a lot left on the video, then I'm nearly finished. We'll have to see. Haha! Anyway, time for me to go and get the hose and my hose cutters out. Well, hi me hearties! Don't ask me why, I haven't got a clue. Just thought it'd be different. Right? Anyways, righty-ho. I have all the hosing done. We have the pump in the bottom. Pretty much everything is done, but despite my wisdom earlier saying that I hate fill ports, woo, we have a new addition. If I turn it around, you can see I've got an extra line coming in there, and then at the top, ta-da, a fill port, because it wasn't until I was just about to hose it up, it dawned on me I had no way of filling it, because I'm just awesome. So yeah, I added a fill port in. Now, I'm actually going to stop here, and the reason why I'm going to stop here is I'm not going to do anything until we have made a collective decision. All I need to know is coolant. Now, we have red LED fans, but they've got a bit of black on them, don't forget. Hang on, let me get my torch. Right, because I'm so ghetto, look. And I've just turned it off. Okay, my torch does not want to work on these fans because the other light in the room is so bright. So, let's move the studio light. Right, now we can see there's at least a little bit of red on these blades. Right, so every other fan blade's red. The LEDs in those fans, while I put the light back, is red as well. Now, what I'm thinking is the only other bit of red in the case is there and on the heat sinks. Stealth, yes, there's going to be a bit of a red fan in there. I don't know, do I want black coolant or do I want some red coolant? Have to admit, I'm starting to think red. But the other option is to put some more red lights in there somewhere. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure what I want to do yet. I honestly don't know where to go with this one now. Normally it's pretty stand out. I do not know whether to go red or black. Like I said, I could use black coolant, put some more red lights in there maybe. Run black and hope that there's enough red in there already and kind of just keep it stealth. Or do I stick some blood red coolant in there as well? Yeah, I really don't know what to do. So this is where we're going to leave this video, guys and girlies. What colour coolant do I want? Black or red? And we're going to put it to the vote. Have to say I'm kind of leaning towards black, and if there's not enough red in there I'll put some red lights in, but obviously red lights means more wiring and stuff that I've got to route and hide and stuff like that. Yeah, so it's a difficult one. I really don't know what to do. Obviously we've got black fittings this time, so red coolant would be good because then it will be different to Aurora, what am I on about? Snowdrift, sorry. God knows where Aurora come from, that was years ago, that was 2009. So yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking red for a bit of colour in there. But, well maybe, yeah, maybe I should just go red. What do we reckon? Let's see what you lot think. Yeah, I really don't know. And I'm not going to waffle on about it anymore, but it's all hosed up, she's all sat there ready to go. All I've now got to do is cable it, leak test it, that kind of thing, do you know what I mean? So we're going to leave the video here for today, but all the water cooling and everything is ready in there, and I've got to admit it is starting to look a bit nice. Silver bit on the graphics card kind of ties in with the silver bits on the water block and the brushed alley side to the rad. It's starting to look rather lush. But again, it's just the colouring that I'm a bit worried about. One thing I've got to admit, one thing I am thinking about doing is taking the red LED fan out the front, because I'm not sure whether it will be a bit OTT, but I think I might have a play with that when we get further into the build. But one thing that we need to think about, other than the fact that I've just got a text message, is the fact that I don't want to change too much, because the whole idea of this is it's a review build and not me modding or, you know, I mean, doing too much to it. I'm meant to be just building rather than, you know, making loads and loads of changes. But I don't think she's looking too bad, really. One thing I will say, guys, is www.facebook.com/TinyTomLogan is the official Tiny Tom Logan page. That's also where I'm putting all the updates for this, but it's also the way I keep in contact with all of you guys, and I post pretty much on a daily basis. So if any of you out there want to go there and add it, like it, whatever you want, then I would be much appreciated, and I will thank you all very much. It's just my way of being able to keep in touch with you guys on a one-to-one basis a little bit easier. It's been going for a little while now. Got 1,000 likes finally, so yeah, it's going pretty good. But yeah, if you like it, then awesome. Tell your mates as well. But I'm going to leave the video here. Tiny Tom Logan out.